Very good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us here for today's webcast with Dynaway. Today, we're joined by Casper from Dynaway, who's going to be taking us through all things asset management and discussing what Dynaway can do for you and your business. So, Casper, nice to see you, and it's over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Callum, for the short introduction. I'll do a few more sentences. My name is Casper, and I'm based in Denmark, and I've worked within the Business Central ecosystem for 10 years approximately, and I've known Elite Dynamics for the same period. So I know them very well, know the product very well, and hopefully today I will be showing you the value add that we bring to EliteParks as well. Dynaway as a company, I'm going to share with you in just a little bit. But before we get started with my presentation, I'm trying to kind of keep this around 30 minutes. So the only disclaimer is that I'm going to keep this to a very streamlined use cases, very simple use cases. So there's much more functionality than what you'll see today. But then on the back of this meeting, please, I'll be more than happy to host the individual meetings to show more. But I'm going to show you what I believe is going to be the most important. So the agenda today, a little bit about Dynaway. I know that enterprise asset management or asset management is not always a household term. So I'm going to also tell you a little bit more about what is enterprise asset management and what does it mean that is inside EliteParks. That's going to be hopefully only 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll spend the rest of the time in the product. And at the end of it, I also want to share with you how you can get started for free very quickly. So the story, that's just so you know who you're talking to, what company you're talking to, and also to kind of build our credibility a little bit so that you, of course, can trust us other than we're endorsed by Elite Dynamics. We've been doing enterprise asset management or maintenance for more than 2 decades. And we've been so lucky/successful that in 2018, Microsoft actually bought our flagship product and built it in to Dynamics 365. And then we took all of that experience and all of those features and knowing all of those processes within asset management and maintenance, we built it into an application that can be used for EliteParks, among other solutions. So that's our DNA is only in asset management for Microsoft Dynamics 365. And as you see on the graph, it's just to symbolize that it's a very, very, very feature-rich application that we have. So there's a high ceiling, but we are geared. You can only also just have one user if that's what you want. But there is a high ceiling, and that's also why I'm just going to show you part of our functionality today. What is enterprise asset management? So for us, that is how you manage your equipment, your high-value equipment or equipment in general. A piece of equipment we call an asset. So that's kind of like the terminology, right, that you need to know. Right now, EliteParks/Business Central already has the functionality to acquire equipment, right? You do that using the fixed assets. So that's a financial exercise. And you also have the end of that fixed assets lifecycle. You can do that in Business Central/EliteParks as well when you have to retire it, which is also often a financial exercise. What the Business Central does not have /EliteParks is a comprehensive, let's say, EAM solution that covers all the life cycle stages of your assets between those two starting and ending phases. So that's what we do. That's what we bring. So to give you an overview, I've brought this drawing here. And as you see it, you should see it as kind of like a process starting from asset management. And then we have divided our product features into like 4 steps of enterprise asset management steps, let's say. First one is asset management. It has everything to do with organizing and asset oversight, so you can track your assets. You know exactly what it costs to operate these assets, these equipments, tractors, static caravans, and so on. What do we actually spend on keep maintaining and operating these assets? Then we have maintenance planning. So that's the entire part of creating maintenance schedules, for example, doing and the annual gas safety or general safety checks, so that you know you're compliant with whatever regulations that you're exposed to. It's to do with cleaning tasks, it's to do with servicing vehicles, it's replacing pumps in the swimming pool, and etc., etc. So you'll have it all in schedule, you won't miss a thing. So that's to kind of like optimize your maintenance game, to make sure that you extend your assets lifetime, and of course getting more return on your equipment. Work scheduling is more of a, yeah, as it says, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a scheduling exercise. We have these graphical boards where you see your technicians and what do they have to do from day to day, from hour to hour, and you can drag and drop on this Gantt chart. So kind of like a visual scheduling board, and that's primarily to boost productivity and making sure you're doing the right things, or your teams are doing the right things in the right times. Work execution is all about creating these maintenance plans, or if, for example, if you're doing some corrective maintenance, the technician has to get a work order in his hand, right? And using ours, of course, that'll be digital. You can't print it, but it is all the features, how they can easily offload their time registrations, what they used of spare parts, and all of that, the documentation you need to do the repair, all pictures, documenting it by pictures, and everything that you need, all the information and all the features that you need to quickly execute a work order is in there. And of course, being built into EliteParks, so all the spare parts, all the time, other expenses, if you have third-party contractors coming in and helping you doing this service or maintenance, it'll automatically be assigned or allocated to the right ledgers with the right cost without you having to do anything. It also enables, being inside of EliteParks, it enables your maintenance processes to automatically be completely seamlessly integrated into your current supply chain slash MRP processes. And then, of course, because you're digitizing that part of the business, we can utilize that data to kind of drive this data-driven decisions on when should we change an asset? When should we replace something? When should we retire something? Creating appreciations, depreciation plans, and whatnot, and also seeing, where are we effective, where are we not effective, that sort of stuff. Good. So that is what EAM is. I will be happy to take questions if there's something that really you feel is critical to ask to understand what I'm saying, because sometimes I can be caught up in talking EAM language. And as I said, for many, it's not like a household terminology. The slide that I'm showing here is very, very important, because that is basically the value add that we bring. A question could be, why should we not go with one of your competitors? But it is because we are not bolted on. So we're not saying we have an integration to EliteParks. We are built inside Business Central, and therefore built inside EliteParks. So when you have to purchase a spare part, it's just like using the purchase module. When you have to create a new technician, it's just creating a new resource, and all of that. It has the same inventory management functionality. It's standard EliteParks, right? So that gives you a lot of time saving. And I brought an example, and I see that one of my good friends from North America is attending, who actually implemented Dynaway for another company early on, and it's loosely based on their case. What you see here is also to kind of highlight is the same value add as you probably hear about Business Central, right? It's one unified platform. We just make sure that even more of your processes is within this one unified platform. You get more for less, because the Power Platform, Power Automate, Power BI, and all of those things, they just work out of the box with Dynaway EAM. Simple to manage. It's the same infrastructure, no separate infrastructure, no large upgrade projects of this specific component of your ElitePark solution. It is just a go and click upgrade, and then it should upgrade in 10 minutes or so, right? So this is how it could look like, how a process could look like when completing a work order. If you, for example, have a standalone system, so your own separate EM system with its own inventory, with their own procurement process, and so on, or if you have it by hand, you need to go through a lot of steps, because when you do a work order, you need some spare parts. Of course, that you need to involve inventory. So how do I know if it's on hand? How do I know if it's not? So on and so forth. You need to involve purchasing if it's not on hand. How do we purchase that? Or if we need a third-party contractor, how do we get a purchase order easily created? And finance for allocating all that consumption that I've registered on my work order. So it can be really, really process heavy. There could be a lot of waiting time to complete one work order. Whereas when you embed it into the existing ERP, into EliteParks, all of these inventory process, all of these MRP and purchasing, finance process are being automated, right? Because it's just leveraging the things you already have in your ERP. So this is how it could look like. So no double entries, no data reconciliation between two monolith systems, and all of that good stuff. Real-time data exchange. You can see the spare parts when you prepare the work order. You can look directly into to your inventory management for that part from the work order, as an example, right? Hopefully that makes sense, because that moves us along to the live demonstration. And what I'm going to take you through today is the process from having an asset. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about how does an asset look like, a piece of equipment in Dynaway. What can you do with that asset in Dynaway? Manage it. How do you manage it? How do you track it? But the emphasis of today's demonstration is going to be actually running through a corrective maintenance workflow, let's say. So you get a request from somewhere that something is broken. How do I then create a work order based on that, and how do I execute that work order, right? And then I'm going to show you some examples, an example for gas safety inspection, how you create that, let's say, maintenance schedule. We call that a work order plan. And how do you also create a schedule for a tractor to go to service? So just showing you how you can create a maintenance schedule based on calendar, and how you can create one based on a counter or a meter reading, right? So that's what I'm going to show you today. How do you manage your assets? How can you plan corrective and preventive maintenance? How can you schedule those? And how can you execute those? It is, when I'm going to show you it, the work scheduling is going to be at the end, right? Because I'm going to do the flow of creating corrective maintenance work orders and executing it in one flow. So to begin with, I'm going to change my screen. I'm going to switch between the slides and the presentation a little bit, just to make sure that we are following along. But first off, I'm going to show you the product around asset management. First thing you probably notice is that it's completely identical to Business Central, right? The behaviors you will also experience are completely the same. I don't have to talk to you about that. You can customize your role center. You can create different roles and whatnot to kind of make it as intuitive as you'd like for the user groups that you have. Managing your assets starts by creating your assets. I'm not going to show you that today because I have a lot of already created assets. You have different ways of looking at your assets. You can either do it by a list, and that is just a classic or standard Business Central list. Has the same functionality to create views, right? To change the layout if you want to, and all of that stuff. Copilot features to create your tables, pivot tables, and whatnot also works here. Then we also have the assets tree, which is very much used because you need the, again, organized overview of your assets. So in this case that I've built today, I have a lot of stuff, but I also see that I have a park. So let me expand that park. So the asset tree is basically a multi-level structure of your assets. And I see within this park, I have some hire fleets, I have a playground, I have some pools, and I have some vehicles. Right? So let's just open up one up. I'm gonna go to the static caravans. I see we both have static caravans, and we have some touring plots as well. But let us look at a specific static caravan. So in this park, I only have 5 individual or unique, let's say, static caravans, and you can build this hierarchy out as much as you want, right? To keep track of your equipment. Let's go visit the asset card, it's called. So this is the asset card. So this is the actual asset. And you can have all the information in here that you need. I think perhaps they're called Beverly or something like that. You can create the manufacturer code, the model numbers, serial numbers, whatever have you. But more important, you have your status codes and you have your condition codes, which can be changed depending on what happens. For example, if someone submits a request, this could change into bad or please investigate the condition or whatever it is. All of these changes will be tracked on the asset. What you also have is location. So you can create your own location hierarchy. For example, if you have multiple parks and multiple warehouses in Business Central, you can connect the functional asset locations to the warehouse so it knows where to check for spare parts and whether or not it's there, right? So that's something you configure. You can also put in the GPS coordinates. And let me just upload some GPS coordinates here. And of course, you can view both the locations and the actual coordinates on a map. So you can map out all of your assets. If you ever move your assets, for example, your caravans between locations, or for example, a swing set or whatever it might be, then we also support shipping and receiving assets as well. We also manage warranty. You can manage warranties if you need to invoice any maintenance to an end customer. And of course, you can create your counters for the individual assets. There are no counters for this one. What's important in terms of managing, as I just said, you can you kind of log. You have a logbook of all the changes that are being made to this asset, and it'll just keep growing. For example, you can see that I updated the GPS coordinates. If the location changes, it will also record that. It'll record if I change the condition or the status, and will actually also record the time in between. And you can define what kind of changes you want to record in your logbook. So if anyone asks about any of your assets and you need to show like a logbook of what has been done, it's easily available. Also very, very important. So digitizing all of this makes it available to you as a customer to get the full overview of what is the exact cost that we carry on this specific asset. Items are spare parts, resources is labor, expenses is anything that is not the above. And all of these, this overview will also be available on the fixed asset. You can click the number and get to the ledger entries that make up this number as well. You have access, of course, to all the activities, also the work orders that has been completed on this asset. You can even create your own attributes to describe the assets, and these can, of course, be connected to, for example, the category. So every time it's a static caravan, it needs to have filled out a length, depth, width, what kind of roof is it, and whatnot, color, so on and so forth, for reporting. Important as well is documents. You can upload documents, so all your documentation for these specific assets can be in one place, and there's a SharePoint connector that places it on your SharePoint as well, so you can also access the documents outside of Dynaway. There could be user manuals, it could be blueprints, it could be certifications and whatnot that you can upload here. So there is some document handling functionality as well. So that's the short version of the assets, right? Moving on to showing you an actual maintenance workflow. So what I'm going to show you today is going to be a corrective maintenance workflow based on a request. Of course, you can also skip that and just create on an instant, just immediately create a work order, right? But I'm going to take you through this process because it's a little bit more interesting to look at. A maintenance requester can be anyone in your organization. We don't license sending requests to Dynaway from a Dynaway perspective, but they need to have at least a BCT member license to do requests. And we have an app they can download to send in requests. This example will be replacing a pump in a swimming pool. So corrective maintenance, right? I'm going to show you this flow, how to submit a request, how you find that request and review it, and then either create a work order or not create a work order, right? But I'm going to create a work order. And then after that, I'm going to show you how you then, after it creates the work order, how you execute it. Here we are. So right now I'm going to pretend that I'm just an employee walking around the park. I have this app on my phone, and I notice something about the pool. So I'll send in a maintenance request. So open up the app. I click create my maintenance request. And then I can kind of, if there's a QR code or barcode on the asset, I can scan it to quickly find it, or I can search for it. And let's say this is the adult pool. So I'm gonna choose that asset. I'm gonna say equipment repair because the pump has given up. One of the pumps does not work. You please have a look. And then create request. So now this request has been sent to the asset manager, and he will be notified. I can go to the list of my requests, or I can open this one, because afterwards I am able to comment on the request. So if I'm now putting on, switching my hat from a maintenance requester back to an asset manager or maintenance manager, and go to my requests, you can see I have a new maintenance request, and it could be that I'm looking at this every morning, logging in. So see, since yesterday, have we gotten any new requests? So I'll go to this one. On the request, I'll assign it to Martin Woods. I know that Martin Woods also is the requester, but that's because I'm the same user, right? The pump does not work, so I'll actually put this to high. And I can actually also add a comment. So saying, thanks for the request. Since it is not working, we will just replace it. So now I will be notified of that comment, and it will be available in my request. If I go and visit it again, I think it was this one. That's a new comment, and I can comment back, and I can follow the status as well. So because I want to replace it, I'm gonna create a work order. So this is how you create a work order very quickly. So placing pump 1. Let's just say that you discussed back and forth, and you agreed it was pump 1. And this is a replacement of a part. So putting in the work category as well. I can add checklists if there's anything they need to remember. So kind of like instructions, right? That you want to track that they did. They need to acknowledge that they did those things, and that checklist will be printed onto that work order that is assigned to that asset. So you can always track back what has been done and what has not been done. So let me just add one here. Just to give an example of a very, very simple one. I also have other examples to show you later on in the presentation. But this could be a very, very simple one. The red rows just means that those are mandatory. So before they can actually close the work order, complete the work, they need to submit this checklist. Click OK, and then that's it. Easy peasy. I've created a work order. Then I get a chance to add some more information and so on. And click Finish. Then the work order is already created. I can upload files, pictures, if there's anything they need to use for the work order to replace it. Let me just open it up. So opening it up, I can start putting resources on it. So I have my resources. I can say it's going to be Martin Woods who's going to do this, and he's going to do some replacing a part, and I expect it to be 2 hours, right? And you can see there's a lot of columns here. Of course, in your environment, you'll be able to customize this completely. And of course, in this case, I know for a fact that he's probably going to use a pump as well, and that'll always alert me. Oh, it's actually not at this location, so I can go and have a look and say, where is it available then? Because again, it's automatically connected to your inventory. I actually don't have, I have one in that workshop, right? And I could choose that. So I could choose to change the warehouse location to this place, or I will do it because I also want to show what else you can do. If it's not on inventory at all, I can create a purchase order directly from here and then consume the part on receipt. Same goes for expenses. If I need a third-party contractor to come in and it's clean it because they need to come and clean up after me. You need some special gear apparently to do that. Same thing. It already knows the cost. You can post a consumption, or you can create a purchase order as well, right? You can, and this is where you kind of specify if the asset needs to be updated with this. So perhaps when we change a pump, you need to change the asset parent number or change the status. It's installed and tested, or whatever it might be, right? So those are the things that you can track on your assets. And from the work order, because it was created based on a request, you have the information to go back to look at the request here, right? So that is how you create a work order. Oh, I forgot one thing though, because this is, I haven't changed the status. So I'm just gonna go and, change the status to work order created, because then it will notify me as a requester saying, okay, we are doing something about it. So now it disappeared on the list and will be on the list for VO created, right? So I can carry on with the next. So before showing you how to execute a work, I actually want to execute another work order for you, because I think I have a good example actually. So if I'm just showing this again. So I'm going to show you how two examples of preventive maintenance, what we call maintenance schedules, right? And then gas safety inspection and routine service of a tractor. So let me just generate those work orders as well. So if I go to an asset, perhaps through a list, or I can just search for it, or I can go through my asset tree. So in this case, I'm going to look at my vehicles. John Deere tractor here. Let's go a bit back. So my tractor, asset, as it placed, all the things that you saw before. Going to my work order plans. So what I've created for this is a tractor major service. Again, it looks identical, but what triggers this work order plan is a counter, right? So every 20,000 miles, this work order plan will trigger and issue a work order, right? So if I go back to the asset, what I didn't have on the ABI Bevel. So here I have actually created a counter on miles. So here I have a place where I can offload my counter readings. That can be done manually, or it can be done automatically by importing the data, right? So I'm just quickly gonna register a reading here, saying 20,000, 20,001. Now this work order plan should trigger, meaning if I go to my planning worksheet, because it does not automatically just generate the work order, it will ask you first. So now I'm just gonna calculate plan. Then the system suggests, okay, so something has happened, so it suggests me to do the tractor major service, and I'll just accept that. And I'm accepting these gas safety inspection of the static caravans as well. And I'm gonna click carry out exit message. And this, sorry. Carry out exit message. This creates the work orders. So 6 work orders created. So now I'll be able to go and have a look at my work orders. Right, I have 33 open ones, and I can see what's today's work orders. I track the major service, right? And of course I can reschedule that. But now I want to switch my my focus to being a asset technician, and then I have to switch screen again. Just give me 1 second. So what I'm going to show you now that I've created a gas safety inspection, but I've also created the track to major service. So now I'm going to show you the work order execution. So putting on the technician hat and looking as if I was on a tablet, and then execute the work order, right? So just allow me to do a little small modification here, because I'm going to change my role to emulate being a technician. And then I'm going to change the screen to tablet view as well. Go. So what we use is the standard Business Central mobile app. We also, again, as you saw before, have a variety of different types of these power apps that are more limited to a specific operation, but is also very, very user-friendly because it's so simple. So now here I'm still Martin Woods. Let me just make it into a surface, because we are Microsoft fans. Here you go. So if this was a tablet, this is how the technician's role center could look like, right? So I have all the work orders assigned to me here. So let's just have a look at the gas safety inspection, right? This is how a work order looks like. So that's how you find a work order. And from here, I can either just get started, or maybe, because this is not yet, I can start preparing the work order, right? So it's going to be in 5 days until we need to do this, right? So I can start looking at the instructions, the right instructions there. Have we added the right checklists and whatnot? For example, for the this could be a little bit more sophisticated checklist. So you need to take, through the visual inspection, you need to take photos of what you see, right? Inspect the gas appliances, check the flue and ventilation, and so on. Leak testing. So there's all sorts of possibilities to make multiple choice options and free text and so on. For example, here I have some free text because I need to write in what if it's within the gas pressure range and whatnot, right? So yes, that looks correct. It is going to Martin Woods. That looks correct. He's going to spend 20 hours on it. Looks correct. He's not going to use any spare parts for this. That is also probably correct. And then I can put it into ready. So now I'm changing stage. I'm actually ready to work on it, right? Then I can go to the next and start preparing the next work order. So I'm ahead of my time. If we go to the replacing pump, let's try and actually execute that, because that's something I need to do right now. So instead of being in preparation mode, now I want to report back that I'm now in progress, right? I'm now in progress. I'm gonna follow the instructions. If I put any in, I'll be looking at extra information. Are there any other work orders on the same asset? They would be shown here that I could visit. What has happened recently on this piece of equipment? Has it just recently been, for example, replaced? Are there any manuals or anything I should know? Any pictures of the error? Or again, I could upload a picture, take a picture to document what I've done. And all these kinds of information is on the right-hand side, or I could go directly to visit the actual asset and read more about it, visit the asset card, right? But I'm going to go through the motions. I'm going to do the checklist. I'm going to submit it. It's now completed. And if I had not completed and tried to put the status into complete, it would give me an error. Actually, I just spent 1 hour on it, but I actually did use 2 pumps because I dropped the one and it broke. So I actually used 2. And then I'm ready to either document what I've done using the camera. I can create a follow-up work order, for example. It could be a follow-up work order, it could be to complete, to repair the pump that I actually dropped, and so on and so forth. Oh, sorry, click back once too many. And then I'll put it into completed. So this does not post the consumption or anything. This is just for the technician to report back that it's completed. So now I'm gonna switch back to being a asset manager. That's sitting in the desktop. Here we are. So before I go home, perhaps I would love to look at, has there been any workouts completed today? That list could be long, right? And I'll have a look. The last part of the process is to review. It looks, yeah, they complete the checklist. Perhaps I should check the answers to see if they were okay. He spent only 1 hour and he used 2 of the pumps. So I might want to call him. So I'll call him up. He says, no, that's actually correct. Okay, review over. I could also add a comment, for example. And the person who completed it would be alerted as well. However, now it's been reviewed. I've accepted what's been done. Then I click post and close. So posting means that the consumption, all the items and the resources and so on will be consumed. Closing, it means closing the work order so it cannot no longer be edited. And you can do one at a time, or you can do both. The reason why you can do one at a time is sometimes you have work orders that spans for weeks, and at the end of a month you want to post the consumption that's already there. Well, let's try just post and close. And there's an error because we didn't have that item on inventory. So now I have another reason to go back to, right? And then I can put the work order status back into open or whatever, waiting, whatever status is you define, right? So that's basically the very, very simple flow of how you complete a work order, maintenance work order flow using Dynaway. Going back to the slides here. Due to time, I want to leave some time for questions. So we're skipping the work scheduling today. I'll be more than happy to show you the scheduling boards, but I think that's one of the things that's very clear. It's just like an Outlook calendar where you can move around the appointments or the work orders. So rather focus on how can you get started quickly and then move into to the Q&A. It's actually free. So we are available on AppSource, and once you download it, just remember before you can install it from AppSource, you need to have admin rights in Business Central. It will prompt you to register for a free license. And once you do that, you can either start setting it up yourself, or you can use one of the demo packages that are available in the initial setup in Dynaway, so that you just get started. It won't be your own data, but it would be something similar to what I showed you today, so you can get started playing around with it. If you want to set it up, then please reach out to the team at Elite Dynamics, and then we can probably discuss how to get you started on your own data. And please go have a look on our website. We have video libraries. We have online knowledge base where you have tons of documentation. We have a features page where you can read more about each individual feature and so on. And that's all I had planned because I wanted to see if I could give you back some time, and I want to keep that promise. So back to you, Cal.
That's perfect. Thank you very much for that, Casper. I think I'll maybe just add to your downloading of the app. Make sure you do it in a sandbox first. Let's not do it straight to production. We don't roll that way. So yeah, you've got your free trial there. If you've got the admin rights to have a go and see what you think, have a little play about, and then you can speak to us. We don't actually have any questions in there at the minute. But if you do have any questions that come up, or you want to talk to anyone in a bit more depth, obviously Casper said he's more than happy to sort out one demo, so you can get a real in-depth look at what Dynaway can do for you and how it can elongate the life of your assets, saving you money in the long term through preventative maintenance. For just now, we're going to finish off there for today. Thank you very much, Casper, for joining us all the way from Denmark. We will see you all again next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.